If you have founded an alternative educational model, school, or program here in the Houston area, and you are watching this video today thinking that parents just don't understand your model every time you try to explain it to them in your enrollment process, well, then I can guarantee you that you're probably not alone. So in today's video, I'm going to walk through a couple of crucial things that you might be missing as to why your model isn't able to be explained in the traditional ways that you might be doing it. And for those that are new here and don't know who I am, my name is Evan Andrews, and I'm the owner and operator of Vandrews Media here out of Katy, Texas, just outside of Houston. For over the past 10 years, I have been in media and content creation. And over the last 5 years specifically, I have been helping service-based businesses and alternative educational model schools, just like you, change the way that they attract new leads and get new enrollments into their programs and services. And again, if you're watching this video today, it's because you know that you have an amazing program. You have an amazing model in the way that you are helping the youth now rediscover their best way of learning and getting an education in our society. But the problem is that you feel like parents just don't understand. So you might be somebody out there who is really passionate. You have a lot of touring, or you have a lot of inquiry about your school and your program. You've probably explained it 100 times. You have it on your website and in other just day-to-day conversations. But after even going through all of that, you still find parents are asking questions like, well, is this kind of like homeschool? Or is this a Montessori style model? What exactly is it? Because at the end of the day, the problem isn't the mission that you've set out to deliver. It's just the way that you're communicating. So again, by the end of this video, I want you to understand just a few of those hidden gaps in that communication process that you might be able to install as early as tomorrow to be able to help you with this communication problem. But if you also feel like communication isn't the only part of the process that you might be lacking in, I want to direct your attention real quick down to the description of this video. There is a short link that is actually a little freebie for you guys. It's actually a 15-point enrollment audit and checklist that I walk through with you over a short video where you can likely uncover possibly more gaps than we might actually figure out inside of this video today. So if you are somebody out there that wants a better enrollment process, you want a better way to attract new interested families to your school and program, then make sure you go down to the description real quick, click that link, and then check it out later. I'll be happy to send it right over as soon as you fill out a short form there. So I know as an entrepreneur and business owner, you try to live and breathe the thing that you do and have created each and every day. You are the one that is mostly close to it. You know the psychology and the philosophy behind what it is that you started literally like the back of your hand. But for a lot of the parents out there that are finding you, they are likely hearing about it for the first time. And what might be obvious to you in what it is that you know may be completely foreign to them. You know, it's kind of like trying to explain the way a car engine works to somebody who has never actually lifted the hood of a car before. You could be using certain terminologies like learner-driven model or Socratic method or any kind of term that they may have never been introduced to before. And you might often find a lot of in this process, you get a lot of head nodding, you get a lot of yes, and you get a lot of agreeance and thinking that people understand what it is, but then they leave and you never hear from them again, and you might be wondering why that is. See, it's not that you're bad at explaining what it is that you do. You're just speaking a completely different language. And the more that you try to get your point across using specifically words alone, the more abstract and unfamiliar that it's going to be to the person that's actually listening to you. Because here's the thing, at the end of the day, parents now probably more than ever, like most of us out there, we are all overwhelmed. There's no doubt about it. In the society that we live in today, most people feel overwhelmed in their day-to-day lives. And with the current trends and the way that our society is moving with how public school is working, specifically here in Texas, we have parents searching out and looking for alternatives to the education for their children. They're doing the research, they're visiting the websites, they're going on the tours. It is literally one of the biggest decisions that they're making for a life that's separate from theirs. And when they quickly find you or land in your ecosystem, the question that they're always going to be asking themselves is this right for my child? And if you can't answer that within 60 seconds and have them understand that it possibly could be, then you're probably going to lose them forever. And again, that's not because your school isn't amazing. It's just that the prospect and the parent that you're speaking to doesn't have the mental bandwidth to decode the language that you're using. They just really need honesty and clarity as fast as possible. Because the reality and honest, hard truth is if they have to work too hard in a mental capacity to understand what it is that you do, they will never understand. Parents will always default to public school or whatever sort of education that they went through as a child, or whatever preconceived notion that they have about traditional private schooling. And another core component to this problem is the way that you might be going about capturing the attention of the parents that you ultimately want to attract. Because today there is more noise everywhere, more than there ever has been in the history of our world. There are literally parents right now sitting down and scrolling Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. They are literally being indoctrinated by videos, ads, pictures, images, all at a split second. And if your message doesn't help stop that scroll within that split second, then honestly, it doesn't even matter how good your school might be. So really, at the end of the day, the question isn't how do I explain my model better, but more the question is how can I show my model so that parents can't ignore it. So let's actually break that down. What's actually happening when you go about trying to explain your model? Because there's obviously some sort of massive disconnect between what you're saying and what they're hearing. Because I hear and read it all the time. You might be saying, we are a learner-driven, Socratic method focused on intrinsic motivation and mastery-based learning. I don't even honestly know exactly what I just said, but these are a lot of things that are in and on the web pages and inside of the content that you guys are probably out there. But what the parents ultimately only hear inside their own heads are things like, so is there a teacher? Are they taking tests? What does that actually really look like? Because the obvious glaring big gap here is that you're trying to lead with things like your philosophy, where parents are trying to visualize an experience. You're honestly at this stage, you're answering questions that they haven't even asked yet. Because honestly, at the end of the day, parents don't have to understand the philosophy of your educational model before they enroll. All they really need to do is they need to see it, they need to feel it, and they need to trust it. Because honestly, that's not going to really happen through a landing page or website or even maybe a 10-minute operational phone call from the start. Because the real issue, honestly, is that you're trying to do all the heavy lifting with your words, with paragraphs and paragraphs of text on your website outlining your teaching philosophies. Potentially on your tours, you might be talking for 30 minutes straight, regurgitating the same thing that you're used to over and over and over again. And honestly, don't even really get me started on the Facebook and Instagram posts with the exceptionally long captions where all you're trying to do is educate what it is that you do. Because the main problem is that words are abstract. Parents can't visualize what you're describing. And we live in a world and society today where if you can't see it, then you likely can't believe it. Now go ahead and take a minute and think about other models out there and other programs out there that are actually filling seats within their program. They're not writing these long captions and long explanations of what it is that they do. They're leveraging things like video content and media to their advantage to showcase how it is that they are different. They let the media and the assets do the explaining for them. And this is really the big shift that you ideally want to make with your model and your program. Because the real truth that the solution to your communication gaps is not better words, it's just better media. So what is the real solution? Because the honest answer is not really dumbing down what it is that your mission is about. Because what a lot of founders out there probably hear is simplify your mission, but it's not about watering down what makes you special. Because I totally agree and I get it that your mission is probably very nuanced. It's very deep. It's very important to you. And please hear me when I say this, you should never compromise on that. But by simply translating into a different format of the way that you deliver that mission, you allow the opportunity for the parents that you ultimately want to attract to be able to ingest it in the way that they know best and how. And the best way today here in our society in 2026 is through the use of video media content. Because today, a 60-second video of showcasing how maybe a particular student is solving a particular problem in a project that they might be working on, that will move mountains more than a 500-word essay or paragraph on a screen. They don't need to read more about what it is that you do and how you help serve. They need to see it. So I'll break down really quick what media could possibly look like for you and your model in your program. Definitely rule number one in this entire process when it comes to media is you want to show, not tell. Highlight the classroom, highlight the teachers, highlight the students in action as they move throughout their day. Because once something is tangible for the parent, they can see it, they can understand what their children might go through if they put them in your program. That is going to do more for you in the long run than any other way that you can try and explain what it is that you do. Other media assets like testimonials, either from parents of the children that are in your program or even the students themselves. These pieces and these assets are straight from the horse's mouth. These particular types of videos are going to carry their weight in gold 10 times over. I mean, because at the end of it, it's social proof. It's social proof at the end of the day. There's no getting around somebody else's words in the way that you were able to help transform where they were versus where they are now. And being the model that you are, you have 3 areas here that you can capitalize on. Going back to the parent, the student, even the teacher's perspective as well can be a form of testimonial to your program and your model. And how you use different media pieces to your advantage is the way that you nurture people through your enrollment process. So for example, before a family maybe comes in for a tour, send them a series of videos on past experiences, current experiences, any philosophical things about the model. Those things are going to help them pre-nurture through the process so that they are effectively pre-sold potentially before they even step foot on your campus. Because at the end of the day, schools with waitlists, it's not that they are better at marketing than maybe you might be. They're just honestly better at communicating. They've already figured out that parents need to see it in order for them to believe it. And they're using video as their targeted advantage in the way that they communicate their systems and their processes. So hopefully by now and the end of this video, you understand that the reason that parents don't understand your model is not because you're bad at explaining it. It's simply just because you're not using the right tools and mechanisms in order to explain it. You have to move away and shift away from trying to explain through actual words and start shifting the way that you show it through different media components. Letting the experience speak for itself will be the way that you fill your program and garner that wait list that you likely are dreaming of. And I know what you're probably thinking. You are probably thinking like, Devin, that is all great and that is all fine and well, but I have no knowledge of how to go and make video content for my school. And I fully understand that. But the honest, hard truth is that you cannot afford to not be doing it. Because every day that you're not showing what your model does, you're losing families to schools that actually are. So to wrap this up for you in a conclusionary bow, we've learned that you, again, are not bad at explaining your model. It's just that you are too close to it, and likely the parents are too overwhelmed in the process of your explanations. And what's actually happening is that there's a disconnect because you're leading with philosophy and parents just need to understand through visualization. And that the real solution here is not dumbing down what it is that you believe in and what it is that you stand for. It's just articulating it in a media that parents can digest easier. So if you're possibly wondering what's next for you, I want to direct your attention back down to the description below, and you can go download my free 15-point enrollment audit checklist. And it's a short video and checklist opportunity for you to answer 15 simple questions with a yes or a no that will tell you where the hidden gaps lie in your enrollment process and why you might not have the wait list that you currently wish you did. And if you go through that and you actually like what it is that I have to present and you want to get some help with it, you will be then presented a way to go about applying to work with me after you go through that process. And if you made it all the way to the final end of this video, make sure that you go like this video, subscribe here, and share this with somebody else who might need to hear it. And I'll see you in the next one.